I have, you ought to, that's a picture of me. He did a character, how do you pronounce that?
Yeah, caricature.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's in your living room, isn't it? I think I've seen that.
Yeah, you've seen that character. Yeah, in the family room, I think it is.
That's right.
And there was a man in the audience sitting in the front row. And I don't mind people talking, because one night I spoke to a group in New York City that was sitting there, and they were talking the whole time, and I did tell them, I says, you know, I'm glad you're here, but you talked the whole time, you didn't even know I was up there. And they said, and the man told me, no, he says, because of you. I just closed something like well then, you know, $6 million deal. That was a lot of money, I guess. To me, it sounded like a lot of money. And then he told me who it was. You know who they were? Doers White Label Scotch. There was a company. And they were there, and they decided to come there to hear me, and they had dinner and everything, and they talked, and they closed that deal right there. And they said, because they didn't want, the people that they were working this with didn't want to leave my music. But I didn't think that they had, listen, see, I did intimate lounge work. If you know, you've seen me perform. So you know I sort of, the audience, we all come together, right? And so I guess it's just like they're sitting in a living room or something and just, and the caricature guy was on one of my cassettes, was sitting in my audience, and I thought he was writing. So when I took a break, I told him, I said, you know, not once did you know I was on that stage, did you? But it was like it was a bar, piano bar. And they had me raised, I sat behind the bar, but he would just sit there and he was just drawing there. But I didn't realize he was drawing, and afterwards, there was my caricature. He says, this is what I was working on. And he is the famous, I can't think of his name, but I'll get there, because he was very good. And he gave me a release to use that on any album cover I wanted. And I thanked him for that. And that's what he was doing. He's an artist, he's a famous artist. God, I met some beautiful people. Then I had a write-up in Showbiz magazine. A man used to come every night, and I didn't realize that he was taking little notes about me, and finally the write-up came up and it said something to the effect of, when I hear Del Rae, I hear 15 artists. And then we talk about that, and I used to say, but I don't want to copy anybody. That's why I don't like to hear the music first. I want to see the sheet music. I don't want you to give me you know how some people say, I'll give you the record, because I read. I'd rather see the sheet, and I want to relate to it. But if I'm going to hear the music, I might end up doing what they're doing. But I have noticed that there are times when I sing that I feel the spirit of the late Billie Holiday moves within me. I do. Or like you heard me today do a little thing with, because Louis Armstrong was my friend. I loved him dearly. And you might hear that, but it's not to copy. It's just, all of a sudden, I just got to give tribute to them, you know? And I think their spirit moves within me. And I used to tell everybody, you know, the late Bessie Smith, I think that I'm reincarnated. And they just, why do you say that? I said, because it looks like to me that when, you know, because she was known to stand on one end of the bar and drink her gin and sing her rough songs. And looks like I felt that I was always at the other end of the bar watching her. That's why I say, I was standing there, it's like I was in that same room. That's how real she was to me. Well, she was real. Am I right or wrong?
All right. You spend a lot of time these days teaching and talking to children. I know you love to talk about that. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you really enjoy about relating with the children and sharing with them all that you've learned and all you have to share.
I'm with the South Carolina Arts Commission. I was on their touring group, but now I work within the state. I go in doing, they call it residencies. I do a week. I always just like to do a week. You know, I've heard that some of the artists go in for, and they stay for lengthy times. But I just want a week with these children. We get in, we meet each other, and so far, most of it is, my work is done February. So they've asked me to do a lot on Black history because I know a lot of the Black top performers, composers, and I knew them personally. And I got a lot of help from them. They taught me a lot of things. You know, in my music, my presentations now, that's why certain things I can do on the piano, you know, when I took piano lessons, I told you I never wanted to play piano. I was a young girl. When I went to college, I was going to be an opera singer, so I majored in voice, but I knew how to read. So I developed that to teach because my first teaching job, the principal was about 90 years old or more, and he insisted that I teach piano. So I knew, I guess during that time, see, a lot of the schools only went, well, of course, by the time I got it, schools did go up to 12th grade. But a lot of schools used to go just to 6th grade, you know. That was it. After 6th grade, you were finished. And so this principal was from that, and you got to remember, I came out a teenager, right? Young girl. And this principal was, let's say he was 90 then, so that means he was way back, I guess, maybe by the time he was a young man teaching in the school, he went to the 3rd grade, and that was it. That's sarcastic. You know I'm being sarcastic about that. But now what I do is I go in the schools, and I've been fortunate to go during Black History Month because I do know a lot personally about these Black musicians. And I know about the history of jazz, and I can develop this right up to these children, right to today where it all come from, the original music, the original music was a religious music, and out of all that religious music came all this different music. I don't know if you know that. They started first back in the early, I'll say, this is before my time, you know. I'll say 1900s, they started back with it was when they did the honky-tonk and the jazz. That's when it became jazz and that, you know. They were really street musicians, a lot of it. And now I go and I teach. I don't call myself a teacher anymore because I'm not a teacher. I go in and we just get together and relate to one another and relate to the music. And you know what I'm astonished at, and I feel so good about. I have a program for preschoolers right up. This week I was working with 6th graders, but one of the preschoolers, 4-year-olds, the teachers came in, next year there'll be 5, and asked me would I do a concert for them. So I did. I did a little story. See, I talk about rhythm. I talk about improvise, which they don't understand. And I do a lot of scatting, and they love that. and I took one of their little songs. They wanted to do, you know that Barney song, I love you, you love me, and they were singing. And so I said, now let's jazz it up the way my jazz group would do it. And we did, and I did a little improvising. And before you knew it, they were out there, and they were clapping, and they were into the rhythm and everything. And then I tell them little stories, like they don't know about the late Nat King Cole, but I relate a song that I do, Straighten Up and Fly Right, that Nat King Cole once did on an outdoor theater in New York, and one of the vocalists, not from his group, this was, I think it was Sarah Vaughan, came up the audience and said, why don't you sing what you're playing? And that's how Straighten Up and Fly Right, he started singing that. So I take this song for these little kids, and I tell them about Old MacDonald's farm, and I talk about a big buzzard there, because you know that's all in the song. Then they get into this song, and then I do another song. I talk about Cab Calloway, and they called it the Heidi Heidi Ho song, because I had them to repeat after me on Heidi Heidi Ho, because that's what Cab Calloway did a lot of. And then we scatter on, and you should see them. And I have some of the little kids. One kid had heard a commercial. Well, it goes up now. This week, I tell you, I'm working with 6th graders. The 6th graders decided this. How do you feel? All right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
How's your reflux?
Well, it's all right. I'm listening.
So I go in and I have a program from preschool right up through college. I give the history of jazz and its development. I also talk about women in jazz, and that's next month, you know, that's going to be women in the jazz field and music field. That's always celebrated in March. And that's what I go in, not to teach. I go in really to introduce my music, my freestyling, and my relation to it, I guess you would say. And it's amazing how we all blend in together, you know? And it's amazing that the young people are so receptive of this, you know? And that's what makes it worthwhile. That's what the whole thing about. Does that answer your question?
That's great. So, you're not always teaching. How much do you tour and how much do you perform these days?
Oh. Before I came here, I told you in New York I made a lot of money, right? But because of certain things, illnesses and things like that, no medical insurance and all of that, you come to well, this business anyway, financially you can be all the way up, financially you can be all the way down. So I've always had a dream to be able, I've always wanted to go out and do concerts like in nursing homes, places, well, these places, you know, they don't have funds for this, but there are these people that are in nursing homes and people in, you know, that are in confined, you know, facilities like that. Well, I've always wanted to do that. In New York City, I was a part of hospital audiences, but I was on a, you know, I was on a payroll there. They paid. And I got the chance when I came to South Carolina. So I'll do concerts. I'll say I'll do at least, how many months in a year?
12.
Or let's say about 60 of those kind of things, you know? And that would be 5 times 12 is what, 60, isn't it? So I'll do about 60 concerts for nursing homes and things. That's 40 minutes. Some of them only want 30 minutes. But paid concerts, I have 3 weeks of touring in the Berkshires, and I had to cancel my last trip into Europe because because of the 9/11 incident. And I'm going to be honest, I was afraid there for a while. Then I realized, there I go. I've never let anything control me like that. And that was controlling me, right? And they had it all lined up for me. One of the houses had already sold out, and I was going to do one of his songs. We were going to record there. So we rescheduled that for this year. So that's going to be, I'll say, I'm not going to be working the whole time because I'm going to be working with the band over there to get it ready, you know. Concerts, how many concerts do I do, performances? Let's say about 60, should I say, I don't know, let's say 65 really, 5 of them are really paid for. No, I get more than that. Let's say about 75. Some of them, a lot of them I do for certain organizations that have little budgets and things like that. But you know, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to be in that position where I could just go in and now I can say, walk and say, this is me, accept me. And if anybody says anything, I can say, you're not paying me, so don't say a word. I do get paid, though, when I do get paid.
We're almost done here. Why don't you tell me about how important it is to you that you continue to perform? You talked about this to me before, and you said some great stuff. So
that keeps me alive. You know, music is my life. There's God. My husband's gonna kill me. All right, I'm gonna do it in this angle, but I'm gonna tell you, there's God first. There's my music. No, there's God, there's Cy, there's my music. I tell Cy though, don't ask me to choose between, because he's out the door if I had to choose. But music is my life, it's a part of me. And he's always been, I tell you, most of my life is with Cy. So he's an extension of that. So he knows he's always there. So he goes right along with me too. You know, and I'm very lucky for that. Because I know I have had friends that wanted to pursue a musical career and they couldn't. And you know, they give this excuse, my husband wouldn't let me. First of all, my husband, there was no thing of letting me do it. That was something I do. That's part of me, like he's a part of me. He'll tell you.
That's great. What do you see as the future of jazz and blues?
I see it still alive, and I don't know, lately, like I go into the schools, and some of the schools, these kids know nothing but in fact, I did go into one school, and they had given me like 20 children in the group, and I says, what's your favorite music? And I went right down that line, and everyone gave me a negative rap, that's all they knew. I introduced my music to them, and I told them what I get out of the music and what is involved in my music. The rhythm, how you can create your moods, how you can improvise, create your tunes. You know, I've had those same kids. When I say kids, you know, they were like high schoolers writing songs. I had one group that took a song and choreographed a dance. Because at the end of it, I tell you, I only go for 1 week in each school, and I give an assembly program, and I let them participate because that's all part of what I do. That's all part of jazz. Like when I say the jamming, I've asked a lot of kids, what is jamming? And I know this is a long story, it's not going to be long. They'll say, slamming that basketball into no, I'm talking about in jazz. And I tell them about, well, like today, I said, if you had your axe, you come go with me. We jam together and make what we did today, right, with the music. And I can see music on because I can see the young people appreciating that. I can see the young people wanting to put their souls into bringing about the tones, because because rap is not music. Rap is a lot of noise. I shouldn't say that, rappers, because you have that right too. A lot of noise, but it's more of a rhythm. It's a loud rhythm. So I can see them wanting to take that song. And yesterday in the assembly program, the kids said to me, this particular tune they wanted to do, I can't think of who the group is that's doing it right now, because right now I can't remember. But they says, we like this song and we think you will like it too. And I says, what's the name of it? And they did it as a tribute to their teacher. And then I went and asked each one, why do you like that song? They said, because, did you hear the words? I said, yes, and I'll tell you what I feel. And they says, that's a deep song. That song brings out the soul of man. So that means that's what jazz does. Jazz is that you can get that mood jazz. You can get that swinging jazz, all the conglomerations, all these different rhythms in there that makes music. And I can see it's going on. You got young people out here now. Look at the Marsalis brothers, that family. Look at Kenny, what's his name?
Chief.
Yeah, young fellow. Jazz. He's knowing there's nothing but jazz. Am I right or wrong? And they are keeping it. They're doing their own thing, but they are still creating. They are improvising. They are making music. It's not violent. It's music that you can. What do they say? Music that you can dream by. You know that. That's what jazz is all about. Even though it might be swinging, but it all carries a meaning. And these young people, and I can see the future, that it still is alive. It might change its form a bit, but it's still alive. And the old jazz musicians will always be remembered, one way or another. I've had some of the students tell me, oh, I heard my grandmother sing that song. She sings it all the time. And there's that interest, and they go right in there and they start relating. And I can see that happening. Do you feel that way?
Right on.
And like with the blues part, you know how many young people want to carry those blues and realize now that blues don't have to bring you tears? That blues are soulful sounds, that they can have good meanings. The Heidi Heidi Ho song is a happy blues number. Well, I always use St. James Infirmary blues on that for the kids, and I tell them a little story about it.
That's great. How do you feel about your job?
I love my job. I think, well, my husband can tell you, if I'm not, that's why I do so many concerts. I tell you, I do like 60 in nursing homes a year, at least 60. If I'm not doing music, I'm driving him up a wall. And I know he's so good to have put up with me, just keep putting up with me like this. When I'm not doing music, he'll say, I can hear him say sometimes, oh Lord, let her get a telephone call or something, because she's driving me nuts right now. I pick on him. Music is my life. I love music. I do. He knows it. And he loves it too.
Last question. If you could tell the world one thing that you've learned thus far in your long life, what would it be? It doesn't have to be about music, it can be anything you want to say.
The one thing that in my whole life, like even meeting this husband and marrying this husband and going through the illnesses and seeing a couple of miracles. I thought they were miracles anyway. I've learned it's not so much what you say you want to do. Go out there and do it. And that's what I believe. I just cut a CD, and I didn't cut the CD until I was 70 years old, and didn't even know what a CD was until a few years back from that. Everybody asked for a CD. Everybody asked. Finally, when I got sick last year, and the miracle I'm alive, and the doctors, of course, I said to myself, I'm not going to ever say I want to cut a CD. I'm going to do it. And that's the way life should be. Do it. As long as you're not hurting anybody. Remember, you don't hurt people. You don't hurt each other. We live together. That's right.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't know.
That's great.
I've talked enough.
That's great.
I met these angels. Look at these angels. And I got this angel here. Can I introduce him?
Yeah, in fact, I want to ask Cy just a couple questions too, as long as you're here wearing a nice suit.
Come on. Let me introduce what I used to say. I'm going to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh. Okay. Yes.
You know what? He's hurting now.
I'm stiff.
He's been there with me. This is the extension right there.
Oh,
I don't know
yes.
what I'd do without you. As long as I'm making music.
Oh, yes. When she's making music, it's
I
wonderful.
lost my microphone. What'd I do with it?
It's on the floor. There it is. Barefoot.
Oh, here.
No, you put it on. He's going to talk to you. I can move now, can't I?
Well, if you want, you can sit there too.
Okay.
Kind of fun. You want to do the stool?
There you go.
This should be up, right?
Oh yeah, here I'll do that.
Up.
I don't tell him about this swimming pool.
Oh, no, I won't do that. Only if you behave yourself.
Watch that. Can I just put this right underneath?
Okay.
Actually, I like a tie.
Yeah, tie's better.
When you're a pro.
See, when Saeed, he gets the reflux.
Yeah, that's alright.
So that's what you're hearing every now and then coming from him.
Thank you for telling everybody. The whole world knows now.
Now, why are you screaming at me?
I'm not screaming.
Yes, you are.
My
You know-
reflux is my own.
No, but
Nobody can share it.
All right. Ready? Here we go. All right. Well, while you're sitting together, I'm going to change the order of the questions here. So, tell your side of the story about meeting and marrying the lovely Del Rae.
Well, it's a long, drawn-out story.
Actually, here, before we...
Some years back,
Hold on.
I'm not going to tell you how many, because Del has already said how many years it is.
Hold on. Go ahead and start over. I didn't move the light. Go ahead.
And I was on a Roman holiday up in the Catskills, and I was having a ball with my friend, and we were having, a real Roman holiday. And he went one way, and I went the other way, and I was at the pool site, and I was swimming, and it was really, in those days, I had a little more hair, had muscles,
don't be nasty.
and I just had a pretty nice looking body, and I could swim. And I see this young lady sitting at the pool site, and she has a paper in her hand, and she's
That was me.
reading it, and every once in a while, she would look over the paper to see this beautiful body coming by in the pool. Oh my! she's telling herself. And so I swam by, and she looked at me, hello, hello, yeah. And then I went to the extension of the pool, and I said to myself, oh, I think she's interested, good.
Oh,
Now,
Seymour, you shouldn't.
Oh,
Listen,
I
there
must
was not a beautiful body. That he was beautiful, though. But
yeah, but I had a beautiful.
I got to tell you this.
Who's doing the
I
interview?
got to tell you this. It wasn't his body. It was his beauty. There was an aura around him. I told you that.
Yeah, I had a
I told her,
halo.
I said, you know, God sent you this way.
But anyway, I figured I had something going here, so I said, okay. So I did a backstroke, and I was very good at backstroking. And I backstroked past Del, and showing off, really showing off. I said, oh boy, I got this young lady now. I went back again, I did a breaststroke. And with the breaststroke, she said, oh, where would you want to spend the rest of your life?
Oh, I didn't want to tell that.
And so I said, are you crazy? You know we can't do it like that. Well, anyhow, she told me who she was, and we had a conversation, and she was entertaining at the
Pioneer.
club
Yeah.
in the area, and I went down there, and I watched her perform, and I'm very much interested and excited in what she did. And we got to talking and drinking and had a little supper, and we became very good friends. And, well, then my friend and I, we left for New York City, and I was working for the New York City Housing Authority at the time, and I was an assistant manager.
And you introduced, tell them how you introduced yourself.
Well, anyhow, I introduced myself to Del with my friend's name. I never gave my real name because I thought that would be the end of a situation, right? So I'm not going to mention the name because he may be still alive and he'll sue me. He was a lawyer. So anyhow, I go back to New York City, go back to New York City Housing Authority. And this young lady had, well, eyes, I suppose, for me, and she liked my style, and I enjoyed her. Who's talking here? Me or you?
No, because you're making it.
Well, anyhow,
Well,
I'm sitting in my office, and suddenly I see this young lady coming through the door. I said, pardon my language, but
No.
I used something that I shouldn't use on TV. And
Don't
I said,
you dare.
Whoa. And she's walking through the door. I said, oh, God. Oh, what is she doing here? I said to myself.
Because
And she introduced herself.
he didn't want, he thought he was going to get away from me.
Right.
I
And
told him he
she's a
wasn't.
tracker. She's a real
I
tracker.
got it, boy. 3
And
days, 3 days.
she was applying for a job as a senior cashier, supervisor cashier for the New York City Housing Authority. I said, oh, okay. So we interviewed her.
They
And,
weren't going to hire me.
and then she asked for my friend, for my name, who was my friend. I says, oh, there he is. Oh, no, that's not him. No, wait a while. What is your name? And I told her what the name was.
What's it, kid?
Yeah, all right. So anyhow,
you opened that door for me, and you know it.
She was surprised, and I was surprised, but she got the job, and she was an excellent supervising cashier. She found a lot of errors.
They didn't want to give me that job. They told me, but I meant I was going to find him. So I went to the central office, and I said to them, I have 10 children, and I just got here, and I don't want to go on welfare, and I have no job. I need a job. And you got to remember, I was a college graduate.
And a great actress.
And during that time, they would tell you in a minute you're overqualified. If they only wanted high school for cashier, I guess something like that. But it was for me to get him. And he opened the door for me. Because you remember in the swimming pool, there was this like a halo around him. There was like a halo around him, and I knew this man, there is something that's spotlighting that man.
That was just gorgeous. So anyhow, she got the job.
He's looking at the gorgeous, and I'm talking about the whole being.
Oh, that's being gorgeous. The halo, the body, the swimming capacity, the muscles. the suave,
He
sophisticated,
gets a kick out of this.
the suave, sophisticated attitude that I
We
had.
do this all the time, you know.
And I said, "Oh, you must
And
hire
you know
you."
you love me from the very beginning.
Of course. I loved you personally, and I love the work that you did for New York City Housing
You have to
Authority.
stop that, Seymour. Did you notice I just changed his name?
But anyhow, she was excellent. She was excellent work, and we became very, very good friends. And we started going out together.
I chased him.
And yeah, she chased me. I got tired of running because I was getting out of breath after a while. I was no marathon runner. I was
you in a chess
I was
game.
a swimmer, not a runner. So anyhow, she would never caught me in the pool. See, but on land, she
caught him
got
in a
me.
chess game. We played a chess game.
So-
That's why I got him to propose.
So we got married, and we set up housekeeping, and let's say we had a nice relationship, and we still do, even though she's becomes a fruitcake every once in a while, and gives me a hard time. I used to have hair on my head before I married Del, and I used to have hair. I could hear much better, and I could pace myself.
Had hair since he was 17 years old. Now
But
he ought to
I
stop.
love it just the same. I wouldn't set a day aside, not knowing that I knew this young lady for so many years.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, please. And anyhow, she's an extension of me too. I mean, she's a little more serious than I am.
Because I get emotional.
I'm not as
He doesn't.
serious as she, and I like to, well, kibitz around, as we say.
You're not serious about me either.
No,
Are you? 45
but in
years
general.
and he still doesn't know.
Oh, and she also taught me really how to perform, because I was always shy when I was young, and I didn't like perform. I was a dancer when I was young, and I went to dancing school, and because I had a heart condition, my mother never let me go into show business. So, but then after meeting Del, and we started kidding around a little bit with the songs and me singing, she taught me how to breath control, how to control an audience, how to look at them, how to get them into your view and keep them and hold them. And so due to Del, I was able to perform much better than I did when I was younger. So she has had a big influence on me.
I really didn't teach you that.
Oh yeah. Well, I had the ability, but I needed somebody to show me where I'm at.
Yeah, see, he didn't know that he has a way with, you know, people love him. You know that. People love him. He loves people too, but he doesn't want to say that. Like he doesn't want to say really that he loves me. He wants to say we had a good relationship.
We still do. I love you.
Because you love me and you can't do without me.
You better believe it. What would I do without you?
That's right.
I used to say, if I did without you, I live a little longer.
Yeah, then he got sick with a heart attack.
But then I bit my tongue because she come back at me and say, "Huh, that's all you married me for? Because I'm good looking and I make a lot of money, and you like live a high style of living, so therefore that's the only reason
I
you
used to
married
tell
me."
people, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to the man I support?
Right, the man with the white partner's hair.
Oh yeah, I used to say
Yeah,
that
do
too.
you
I
remember that?
forgot about that.
That's right. And then every once in a while she'll say, after a song, we'll be performing a song, and she'll say, "Show 'em how you dance, Si. Give 'em a dance." And then I go into my dance. Oh boy! And then I can't sing the song because I'm out of breath.
we have.
But we have a good,
Shouldn't have done this.
good lasting relationship, and all our children get a kick out of us too.
Yeah.
Because they know we're a bunch of fruitcakes.
And they know he's crazier than I am.
And that's the only way to be in this world. You can't be over serious. You have to let yourself go. Let your hair grow longer. But in my case, it's not so. But I mean, be yourself, you know, be natural. People like people that laugh and fool around and have a good time. They don't like any sour pusses around them. They want people that are with them, that they enjoy.
If you notice nowadays, everybody needs somebody to. How many calls? Don't we get a lot of calls from a lot of our family, you know, that we never hear from before? Now we hear from them when they want to just talk because they need to come up because we're two idiots, you know. We take life. I mean, we live each day at a time.
That's true.
It's the best you can do it. And that's the way we did. And now they'll call us because it's one of those days when they feel it's the bleakest or maybe they're last year or something.
That's right.
And they'll call us because they say, you know what, you just made me realize. Maybe it wasn't so bad today after all. 'Cause that's the way
She's
they
Ann
do it.
Landers and I'm Dear Abby. And that's what they call us.
But we don't
And
give
we
advice.
No.
I don't, he does.
Well, I give advice at times the way I would feel about it, but you can decide for yourself what you want to do. I mean, from my experiences, this is how I feel. And so, if it works out for you, fine. If it doesn't, then you try Dear Abby. And, that would be fine. But other
isn't
than
he an
that,
angel?
that's how we met, and that's how we live, and that's how we perform. And hopefully we'll do it for the next 50 years. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was great. So tell me about your side of the story, how when she quit her job and you quit your job and the big turmoil.
Are we fighting?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I was into a security bag. I was making a nice
Lot of money.
nice salary and had a nice position. I was well adjusted in what I was doing, even though I didn't like the job. And
Better not say where you were working inside.
yeah, well, I was working in New York City.
I tell you not to do that.
Oh,
You're
I was
telling
working,
them.
I'm working in a housing authority.
Okay, he just
Somewhere in the world. And it was a good position, but it was stressful, dealing with tenants and problems, and dealing with the community and society at large. And so it wasn't the kind of job that would use my personality. My personality called it for more of an outward, jovial person. And I had to be more reserved in that position, and it hindered my character. It pushed me down. It didn't make me feel good. So I was sick most of the time. But I went to work, in a sick way, and but I adjusted to it. I did it for how many years? About
97 years.
About 15.
Yeah.
No, about 15
yeah,
years.
I think it's about 15.
Yeah, about 15 years. And Del,
Don't talk about me. I don't want you to talk
No,
about me.
well, the reason that you left, you got sick and tired of your job, and you were going to do something about it.
See, that's where you do it. I'm sorry.
You got sick on your job.
I didn't get sick and tired of my job. You can cut this out. All right. Let me tell you.
No, keep it going.
You know, this is what I put up with for 45 years. I want you to stop. You're an extension of me. You don't think me. I think it's it.
All right.
I didn't get sick and tired of the job.
You got sick.
I got sick because I couldn't cope. I couldn't stand the abuse.
Wow.
I can't stand, I told you, I cannot stand violence.
That's right.
I cannot stand to see abused children.
Also, you wanted to do something more creative. And
See,
you
he's still insisting that he's controlling my thinking gear here.
No, you are a creative person. You're not a city employee
You
type.
notice the name changed again?
Are you
can tell
listening to
when
me?
I'm serious when I say
So anyhow, she went into what she did best, into music. And so she quit her job.
But I didn't quit because I was sick
I'm answering
and
this
tired.
question now.
No, because you're adding something that isn't right, and I want you to stop saying
Well,
that.
anyhow, you quit.
Because this is in your mind.
you put it there.
No, I didn't. I've never told you I was sick and tired of the job.
You were sick.
I quit because I was sick because I couldn't stand to see. Did you know they
Abuse.
were going to arrest me for kidnapping?
That's right.
I went out on the field because one of my workers told me that there were 2 abused children in her territory. And I went out there and I found these 2 abused children. And I tried to turn them in, and because those people didn't want to do the paperwork, I took them home.
Home.
I said,
Right.
you'll never go back. I wasn't going to let them go back to their parents. Again, you will not. Those kids had cigarette burns.
And some of the recipients would apply for welfare, and she never made out the application. She would give them
I'd give
money
them the money. Good.
out of her own pocket.
If they had the kids.
That's how mild and lovable she was to this
But
job.
it wasn't lovable. It's just, it was, I know it was foolish. You got to remember, I grew up with my parents, teachers. My parents were educators. I remember when my parents didn't get paid they got, it was a barter thing. They taught the school, and these people, there were like 6 homes in this village. And whatever they grew, the vegetables and the meat, would come to us. It was a mill town. The mills gave us material to make clothing. So I know poverty. I know some of those people came in to apply. I mean, since I'm no longer there, I've thought about it, that they came in to apply for assistance, and they dressed the part. They would bring a child in a cold December day with no shoes on. And I would say in a minute, listen, before we even talk, you go out there and buy that kid some shoes right now and have his socks. And I would give money.
That's right.
That was all a game. They saw this, what was I called, a marker?
Well, martyr, right.
A marker. What do they call it? Mark coming. I was the mark.
You were mark.
They saw the
Yeah,
mark.
and also a martyr.
I was, see, there he goes again. This interview is over. Because now he's trying to tell me, see, I told you he controls. Did I tell you that?
I wouldn't do that.
You've been trying to control me all these years, and that's why I got sick last year, because I let you control me.
No, because you didn't see the doctor like I told you you were supposed to do. And that's how you got sick. And you
No.
don't listen to me.
You don't know, when we came down here, I felt guilty taking him out of New York, because he's New York. He was like a little baby. He was so mad, he threw tantrums at me. And I felt guilty, and I lost control of myself, and I gave it over to him.
So?
That's why you almost lost me, too. I almost died.
Yeah, but tell them the fact, remember when you got sick the first time, in the 70s?
I don't believe in that was in the 60s.
No,
It was when I was going to die.
Yeah.
You healed me. All right, you healed me.
Yeah, that's right. I went to the
You
book.
prayed,
I
yeah.
went to the book. I
You
won't
got
say
a
which
birth
one.
book.
I found out what had to be done,
And he
and I did it. I gave it to her, and she got well.
Dr. Moskowitz here.
Right. In fact, now our
I hope
children.
this is off.
No, it's
We're
not.
fighting here.
Now
This is one of the worst
our-
fights you ever saw.
our children come to us, and they ask us about medical.
Yeah.
Like the other night, our
Not-
youngest.
Be careful.
Right. Our youngest
Don't
asked.
give. All
Our
right.
be quiet, please.
Because you start talking and.
But I'm trying to show
show.
them how important we are to each other and to the children.
You don't think
Our
you're
youngest
supposed to be- You
comes-
don't love me.
Oh yeah, I love you. But anyhow,
That's how
our
he said
youngest
it. That's how he said it.
called,
That's how-
and he had a condition, and we told him, well, this is what you should do about it, because I've had experience with it.
Drink some tea.
Right. Well, you drink green tea and the other things that you do.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we gave him medical advice
He does.
from experience. And most of the children do that.
And it's not just the children. Other people call you up about
Right.
that.
They think I'm a medical practitioner.
All he has to do is hang out a shingle.
And I tell them, why? Because I read. If you learn to read, get a medical book. Get any book that has anything to do with medicine and read it and learn it and remember it. And you'll live as long as I have.
And also, these are good remedies. See, we are more into
Natural foods.
natural things. And,
Natural remedies.
Doctors, oh, I shouldn't say this. Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But I
Yeah.
have to tell you that I believe, my mother was like this. You see, doctors, I go to a doctor if I collapse, you know. But doctors are practicing. They don't know either. So I feel like he fell the other day and almost broke his knee. And I gave him the remedy. brandy.
Oh, yeah.
Put the brandy on the knee.
That is a good
Those are
remedy.
old, they work. This toe has been broken twice. My dog, we used to wrestle. I had a big dog, and the dog and I used to wrestle. And he would throw me down, and I broke my toe. Then I'd break it, and I could always, because a doctor can't fix that toe. You know, they'll tell you that they might tell you stay off that foot for, and it always happened. Once it happened when I had to put on high-heeled shoes that same evening. And you just rub it with the brandy, rub it, and all that pain goes away. And I've never been
That's
able.
right.
And you see, I wear heels and everything. The kids ask me in school,
That's
how
right.
do you wear shoes and you're so old? Because I wear my heels. I wear my heels in school.
So the upshot of the whole interview is that listen to people who have had experience, have been through it, have done it, and perhaps you'll learn something in life that'll be beneficial to you later on. And that's probably the only philosophy that I have right now.
He's so sweet, except when he tries to control me. That's why I have to work. That's why I have to perform.
Oh yeah. If she doesn't work, it's really bedlam. I really have to hide out somewhere. And
He does. He
I
does.
think it would be a very nice place to come to Charleston every once in a while and do an interview when she's into her moods.
You know what I tell? See, we use you a lot too. You don't know that. I tell Si, I says, you're going down on the hill too. He goes to Walmart. He goes. That's where he goes.
That's my store.
I said he really thinks he owns that store.
Well, I
I
worked
said,
there for a long
I
time.
got to call Alex today, and if you don't get back until late, then I'm gonna call him when you get back. That's why. Did I tell you sometimes? I was waiting for Siding so he comes back early, so we don't have to keep you up, Alex.
Yeah.
Because we know that you have to go to work or whatever you do.
So that was very, very interesting. And
Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I enjoy it. I enjoy
and you
you
woke
too.
him up. Thank you, because you know he was falling asleep over
I
there.
was almost asleep, but I mean, I loved the interview. I loved everything that has gone
He
on.
likes to talk.
Yeah. When I get started.
I don't like to talk like that.
No, you like to talk.
How many hours did I